Hospital Porter's pride and dignity stopped the New World Order. Welcome to Herpanwo TV. Welcome to Oxford. I've often told you that for someone like me who studies the Illuminati, the New World Order, its agenda, and how to stop it, how to create a free world for everyone here on Earth, I couldn't want to live in a better place than Oxford. This is a major centre for the Illuminati. All the best research I can do is right here on my doorstep. I don't have to travel far. A lot of the information that we're looking for to expose these people is right here in this university, which is the centre of the city of Oxford. Many great people, or it depends how you define great, but many people who have helped the Illuminati spread their agenda across the world and consolidated rule in Illuminati-occupied nations have been indoctrinated here. People like Cecil Rhodes, Tony Blair, Indira Gandhi, Margaret Thatcher. I mean, there's a whole list of them. I mean, it's hundreds of world leaders have been produced by this university, more than anywhere else in the world. Now, where I am today is actually Blackhall Road. Now, if you read the Herpanwo blog, you'll be familiar with this area. You'll know what I'm talking about. In July 2008, a remarkable discovery was made at this building site behind me. Now, if you read the Herpanwo blog, you read the article I wrote on there, and I've linked it. You go to the description box on this video and you'll see it. The Oxford Henge. And you'll see that I took some photos there of this area, this building site where the discovery was made. Now, you'll see that the building has actually progressed a little bit since then. In fact, it's virtually finished now. But this could actually turn out to be one of the most important sites in Oxford in terms of the history of this city. Now, what was actually discovered was initially a load of bodies were discovered, just bones, and they were dated to 3000 BC. This is the height of the megalithic culture in Britain. The people who built Stonehenge, Avebury, places like that. And the archaeologists, when they dug down deeper, they found the remains of a henge, which is like a raised bank and moat, usually with stones and other things, which it's kind of like a ceremonial circle. By seeing the curvature of by measuring the curvature of the henge, they managed to work out exactly where it was and how big it was. It was actually 150 metres across. That is huge. It's one of the biggest henges in Britain. And unlike Avebury and Stonehenge, nothing of it is left. The city of Oxford has basically been built on top of it. These buildings around us that we think are old are actually not old. They're virtually modern compared to the ancient megalithic site that used to be here. What's remarkable about it is that we are told that Oxford virtually had no history before the Middle Ages. The Romans never settled here. This area is basically marshland. The River Cherwell came into the River Thames, what we call the Isis, and created a huge floodplain, marshland. You can still see some of it in Port Meadow today. The first people to settle in this area were the Anglo-Saxons in the early Middle Ages. They named this area Oxna, which means the place of the oxen, the cattle. Which is why, because they grazed cattle here. And Oxford developed in there because there was a ford in the river and they used to take the cattle across the river. What you see behind me is actually part of St John's College. Now, the main St John's campus, the older building, is actually on St Giles, which is just down the road here, and it's very famous. It's famous boulevard through Oxford. This is just like another area that they own. Now, this is very interesting because it seems like there's very little publicity has been generated over this. Now, I know that the extent of the site can't be excavated because it's not just this new building that's been built on top of it. As I said, huge buildings have been built on this area for hundreds of years, and obviously the henge has been basically trampled on by all these buildings over those centuries. Of course, you can't excavate the whole thing because you'd have to excavate all the colleges and probably Randolph Hotel and other areas. This thing's 150 metres across. It's huge. Enormous monument. There's not many places that big, But actually, there's something slightly sinister about this because I get the feeling that it's been deliberately hushed down, and this has happened before in Oxford. Because in Cornmarket Street, which is the main shopping area now, which is full of modern shops, they were redeveloping the area, and some builders came across an underground chamber. This was several years before this happened, before this was discovered. Now, the underground chamber was actually not very deep. It was only like about 3 or 4 feet deep, but it contained skeletons. And when I went there, huge boards were placed up around it, and the bulldogs, the university police, were guarding it, so they didn't want anyone to see. There's never been a satisfactory explanation about what this chamber was doing there, or the identity of any of the skeletons that were found there, or why they were buried there, if they were buried at all, or what it was. I mean, I went to the thisisoxfordshire.com website, which contains all the archives of the online editions of the Oxford Mail and the Oxford Times. I couldn't find any reference to it, even though I distinctly remember seeing it at the time. It's not been recorded in the archives, which is very, very strange. Oh, it's like there's definitely a lot of something covers up going on here. There's definitely people who don't want us to know the true history of this area. And the fact that there's a henge here dating to 3000 BC shows that it was a pre-Illuminati civilization in this area. What I mean by pre-Illuminati, I believe the Illuminati came to Britain with the Romans. If you read my article on the Panwo blog called Boudica and the Perennial Holocaust, you'll know what I mean, because I'll put a link up to that as well. This is what I'm talking about. I think the Roman invasion was the main source of this Illuminati occupation of Western Europe, and Britain in particular. I mean, Britain was a great big white elephant as far as the Romans were concerned. A quarter of the entire legions were spent on defending this little island here. Very little revenue, but for some reason Rome regarded Britain as very important. Julius Caesar tried to conquer it once and failed. Then Claudius came along and achieved it. Very odd, that, isn't it? Now, obviously there was human habitation here in the pre-Illuminati era, in 3000 BC, the megalithic culture. Now, this proves that this area was habitable, and you could build on it, and people willing to come here. Now, the fact that this area called Oxford is a city, but it's also a river confluence. The tributary of the Thames, called the Cherwell, actually joins Oxford here at the city. Now, as you know, you probably know if you're aware of all these things, river confluences are sacred sites. They're major energy centres. I mean, the Native Americans believe this, the Druids, Celtic Druids and the witches, they all regarded it as such. That could be a reason why the city grew up here, why the Illuminati choose to move in here and create this massive indoctrination centre here. I don't know. I mean, there's no way of knowing for certain, but I don't think we're ever going to know now, because this great big thing has been built on top of it. Not the prettiest thing in the world, is it? No. Doesn't quite match up to the dreaming spire's ideal. I think you'll agree. Anyway, if there's any more news on this matter, I'll let you know. Hospital Porter's Pride and Dignity, stop the New World Order. Thanks for watching Panwo TV.